Hello, everyone. Welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is Gameweek 20 Deadline Stream. It is the final game week for year 2023. My name is Hafiz, and I would like to welcome Azmin, who has returned from his holiday trip in Korea. How are you, brother? You're on mute, mate?
There you go. So more than just a jet lag. That only 1 hour jet lag, so not an issue. Um, good. Yeah, had a good trip to Korea. Unfortunately, my sadly my FPL points also went on holiday, but that's fine. Not an issue. And it was really cold in Korea. It actually snowed in the suburbs for the first time in 8 years in the suburb city area. So I didn't actually have to go up to the mountains to find snow. Although we did do 1 day trip where we went to the snow so that we can play in proper snow. But yeah, it was a good trip.
All right. Sounds fun, and hope you enjoy your trip with your family for sure. You had a break, and mine also had a small break. I just went local in Port Dickson, but the most important thing that we are here now for Game Week 20 because there are some interesting team news and also the most talking points about Haaland. Later we touch on him, and
Yep.
maybe before we go to the team news for Game Week 20, we just take a look, a quick one for our Game Week 19 score, of which the average point for Game Week 19 was 38 points. I scored 43. You slightly lower, 35 points. I believe you took a hit for
Yep.
Game Week 19, if I'm right. So, I mean, for my team itself, 43 points. Dubravka over Areola. I think in terms of fixture, people might mention about Areola against Arsenal, not an ideal fixture, and Dubravka at home against Forest. Still uncertain with the new manager, but it is what it is. Newcastle lost 1-3, but Dubravka at least managed to get one save point, which 2 points there. Other than that, my transfer in TAA, who actually produced the points that we believe the 5 points, a yellow card, but we still managed to get that 3 bonus point. He is, if I believe, he's the most placed with the most bonus point right now. So well done for TAA. You also got TAA. Other than that, Poro, despite Spurs conceding four goals, he still managed to get an assist and 2 bonus point. Poro, you also have him. Other than that, I think disappointing for mostly on the Newcastle assets. Me, you got Trippier, I got Gordon. Uh, Only 1 point. Dubravka only we did not keep any clean sheet. But we went different captaincy. Mean you go for Saka and go for Salah, but both blank. Me.
Yeah, it was crazy. And on my part, because the captaincy option, Salah was again the I think was the most popular captaincy option, and there was no reason to doubt that. But I was the one who doubted it again because I was just not sure or confident that Salah could do well against Burnley, simply because one thing, Liverpool were playing away and Burnley had shown signs of improvement. So I was not that great, especially considering um Darwin and Diaz were still not quite there yet. Yeah, but now Darwin fortunately returned. So I went for Saka, whom I had transferred in, and I took a hit to remove Gordon of all people. So yeah, I was just not confident at all with Newcastle, and I had to make a choice of selling Gordon or Trippier. So I decided to sell Gordon. I think at the end it made much difference because Saka himself blank, because I really, and I think in one of my tweet videos that I had been doing during my time in Korea, I had specifically mentioned that Saka would be a great differential captain against West Ham, who are very inconsistent and can concede a lot and also score a lot. And but Arsenal were totally off it. I haven't watched I wasn't able to watch the the Arsenal West Ham game at all, because at the time I was actually on the way to the airport. But when I when I when I arrived in the morning on Saturday morning, when I arrived on Friday in KL, and first thing I did once I got into the internet was check the scores, and I was like, oh my god, not only Arsenal, West Ham, but even the Spurs game. They lost to Brighton, and us, the both London clubs have had lost. Well, West Ham is still London club, but the outcome was not what most of us expected, and for Arsenal not to score any goals at all is quite an issue
Yep.
that we probably need to look at. Um, Coming back to your team, Hafiz. So you got Solanke who still returned. So well done. So was showing to be a good change, and from last week he carried on his good form. Um, Archer returned for you, Hafiz.
Yep.
So you're looking at
Betul.
the looking at the Sheffield stats. They are showing some signs of
I
improvement.
guess that's the one that.
Yeah. So only Watkins blanked
So I
again.
think that's when that's when the because of Palmer suspension that I brought in Archer. He might return against Luton. He did return anyway and assist. So 5 points. But if let's say you have the likes of Alvarez, will have more points. And you did bring Nkuku, man. So
Yep.
how's the feeling having Nkuku?
So Nkuku, he did 70 minutes. To be fair, he wasn't great, but he did show signs of promise. As expected, he was subbed out after 60th minute. If I remember, if I read correctly, it was the 70th minute.
Yeah,
So to be fair, there is still a gap between this game, although he blanked and Chelsea still won. So, but the only thing is, interestingly, from that match, Madueke took the penalty, but by then Nkuku was already off the pitch. So,
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
still a question mark as to. I would think that Palmer might still get the penalties, once he comes back, but we don't know. Yeah. So other than that, so yeah, all my bench were bench, but Semenyo decided to get some returns for once, but he was never gonna make it to my team. So as a first pick, so not an issue there.
All right. I think that's we conclude about Gameweek 19. Our focus now is Gameweek 20. Before we go to next topic, would like to say welcome to the stream, Brandon. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Brandon.
Okay, man. I think the most talking points for Gameweek 20 is definitely Haaland because Haaland did not feature any minutes in World Cup Club. He also missed the last game week against Everton. And this is where people are thinking about whether to bring in Haaland. There are two scenarios. People who still have Haaland or people who are still thinking of jumping into Haaland back into the team. And this is what the quote from Pep Guardiola. Still, he's not with the team. He feels better with his ball, but he hasn't made one training session with us. So that's not a good news for sure because he hasn't have any training session. Unfortunately, December is so congested and with so many teams. January is so congested. Hopefully, in January he can come back with us. So can I say, man, we are comfortably say that Haaland will miss this Gameweek 20? What do you think, man?
Yeah, yeah. So not only will he miss game week 20, but hopefully in January is that isn't even confirmed because you're looking at game week 21 and game week 21. Um, Manchester City will play on Sunday, 14 January. So that's quite a while away. So will he? Yeah, most likely. There's a chance, but we don't know. But there's plenty of time for us to take a look. When whether or not he does come back. So um, it's going to be a long break. It is a break. Um, but it does show that there was a lot of speculation before this that he might be available for the Sheffield United game, and people were trying to adjust transfers so that we could get Haaland in when he's ready. But now that's no longer the case, so we don't have to worry. So by the time Haaland is available, Salah and Son will be gone. So definitely we'll have the funds to bring him back if we need to.
Yep, yep. I think this one thing also we want to highlight. this will be the final game week before Salah and Son going for AFCON and also Asia Cup.
Yep.
So you can without this Haaland news, I think it's also a comfort for us owners of Salah and Son. We do not scramble to get Haaland in, because then we need to think which asset to sacrifice, Son or Salah, for this Haaland, and potentially if he's placed, he's the best captaincy pick for this week. But if it's not, then we can use that Salah Son for the last week. And then if let's say game week 21, the Haaland could actually feature, then we can use that money whether to take out and take a hit, or even if it's not ready, that could be another option. We just take that two free transfer to replace Salah and Son as the most priority one. So I think that's still up in the air. So this news, some might not be happy if you still have Haaland, because you need now. I don't know, man. If you still have Haaland, would you still keep him because it's of his uncertainty, or you're already in that boat? Maybe you just play along until January.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is a problem, isn't it? So the thing is, we don't really know what's the situation, do we? We it's all quite unclear, and I know it's frustrating for those who would still have Haaland thinking who would have been back. And so the question is your team doing okay? If it's doing okay, and with the squad that you have, and to be fair, it can be because we have a lot of cheap uh options doing all right. For example, the likes of Solanke are doing okay, so they're covering for it. So if you have a decent squad, then there's no reason that you should sell. However, if your team is suffering, then you should really consider. But to be fair, you with only 1 week to go where Haaland doesn't appear supposedly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you can decide to still keep Haaland, depending on the status of your team.
yeah. I think it's going to be a hard one for sure, a tricky one. You might want to go Everest if you think that you want to captain him, but it's going to be a hard one. Min, I just want to also mention about this week. This is the last chance for you to use your first wildcard. This is the last game week. But I can see some of managers who struggling to actually build a wildcard team for this week, because Salah and Son this is the last one that you want to have him. It's not like an ideal if you want to have both. So it looks like people are scrambling to get a decent wildcard team, and it could be without Salah and Son, to be frank. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, so I guess that because the dilemma now is that you will want to spread the funds definitely after this. So the question is, you could sell one person, but then the other person would still stick in your team. Yeah, so you definitely have to look, when you look at the statuses of the team, because you had Spurs who lost, and Salah, and Liverpool who didn't lose the last game out. So you think that the next game Sun will want to make amends. Yeah, but to be fair, Sun are playing up against a much improved Bournemouth. Yeah, but they are at home. Liverpool are at home too, but they face a struggling Newcastle. I can't remember the last time Newcastle actually won a match. Actually, seven games ago. I can't remember. I'll take a look at that. But you would think that if you had to choose between Salah and Son, Salah would be your better option if you are going on a wild card, because Liverpool are doing well, and even though Salah hasn't scored for the last two matches, so you would think that against Newcastle, you would expect Liverpool to score and Salah to be part of it.
All right, Min. Before we go, Brandon did mention, if let's say about Haaland, if we have him and benching him with that big amount sitting on the bench, it will be
Mm.
uncomfortable. I think we might need to move on that. But Min did mention, maybe keep one more week for another information, but I'm not sure whether we can do that.
Yeah, it's hard. Again, if it really is, Brandon, it is dependent on your team. The good thing is if you save a transfer, then it makes it easier. But not every team is going to be to do that. Yeah, if 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 you've been on the red arrow, then definitely you should sell Haaland and spread the funds. The question is, where are the funds going to go? Because Arsenal have been, who are among the more expensive options there, and they've all blanked. last week. Other alternative is to go for Manchester City players other than Haaland. So the question is which one? We saw Alvarez doing well, so Alvarez will be the likely option for you to go if you don't already have him. But
Yeah.
then you'll still have a lot of funds, and that's where you need to figure out where you want to place them.
Right, man. Let's take a look at Game Week 20 fixture. Okay. This Game Week deadline will be at 7 p.m. because the first match of this Game Week 20 will be Luton versus Chelsea.
Yep.
Luton has been in decent form, especially at home, and Chelsea will face a daunting task for sure away to Stamford Bridge. On 11 p.m. Malaysian time, we have four matches. We have Villa versus Burnley. Villa for sure wants to bounce back from that horrific 3-2 bounce back from Manchester United. So they're facing Burnley, a decent match for sure. Palace versus Brentford. Both are struggling, mate, and they really want this match. It is also a London derby. Hodgson versus Thomas Frank. Brentford has been really struggling also at this juncture. 1-4 loss at home against Wolves last turnaround. Man City versus Sheffield United. This is a money ball game. People mention this could be a big match in terms of FPM points, but you need to decide which Man City player who are going to do that. And then we have Wolves versus Everton. I think Everton did lose last turnaround against Man City, but Wolves also a decent side. So it's to be a interesting match. And then on midnight we have Forest, who has had a good fortune with Nuno last time around against Newcastle, but facing Manchester United, who are also, can I say, in a good moral right now. And then on Sunday, we have two matches. Fulham versus Arsenal, big match for Arsenal to bounce back against Fulham. And then we have a Spurs versus Bournemouth, who also, like Azmin mentioned, are also in a good form, a decent form. So it's not like an easy win, I suppose, against Spurs. We hope a high scoring game. And then on, can I say, on Monday night, Liverpool versus Newcastle. Man, I hope it's on Sunday midnight, man, but it won't be. It's on Monday 4 a.m. And then we have West Ham to close, West Ham Brighton to close off the Game Week 20, the final Game Week for 2023, man. Man, which fixture that you interest most?
To be fair, there are a lot of fixtures, and it does quest because I did do a quick tweet on possible captaincies the other day. Because you got Aston Villa versus Burnley. Aston Villa who need to bounce back. Um, at the same time, as you mentioned, Manchester City versus Sheffield United, the captaincy options could be there. Liverpool versus Newcastle, with Newcastle struggling as well. So those are plenty of options where you could see some big goals, big points there. Yeah, as we hit the new year. Um, West Ham versus Brighton. You've got the two upsets of the week happening on the same day, which was West Ham against Arsenal and Brighton against Spurs. So now they go head to head against each other. So that could be another explosive one. Problem is, Brighton, we don't unlikely to have any assets for there. With the latest injury to the Japanese star also out. He's out for 8 weeks, I think. So I think he's ruled out after AFCON as well, as a result. But West Ham, of course, you've got Bowen there. People who still have Bowen, so it'll be tough to continue. Kudus, unfortunately, after this, he will also leave to AFCON. So, I think it might be a great time to pick up Bowen.
All right, man. Let's jump to the team news, man. We start off with Luton versus Chelsea first. What's the latest news for both teams, man?
So the main thing is for Luton, Marvelous Nukamba is out, so that prompts a bit of a shuffle. So he will have go for surgery. Lockyer, of course, is still unavailable. So one thing I mentioned, because without Lockyer, you definitely will see some instability in the back line, and we saw that. Although it was Luton came out victorious in the relegation battles against Sheffield United last time out. On the Chelsea side, so the thing is with Pochettino, he did his press conference right after the the midweek game, which was over Palace, the win over Palace. So that means that we're not sure. We'll have to check for updates. Given that this is the Chelsea game is the first match for the week. Yeah, but we do know, of course, with Palmer and Sterling back, so definitely you'll see some strength there. A question there with the Nkunku will start again about, I think it's less than 3 days after the match. So um, he could, but he was subbed out early, so there's a potential he will. I know when as a someone who picked up Nkunku, I knew that risk was there, but we know that he can still do uh, um, have an impact if he came in as a sub. So I knew that and was expecting that. Um, so not surprised there. But the thing is, of course, with Jackson is just misfiring again. Although to be fair, this will be Jackson's last game as well. For those who are not aware, before he also goes off for the Afcon. But even then, this predicted lineup has Broya starting instead of Jackson, and one of the reasons is possibly due to Luton's aerial threat. Luton, are quite good in the air of late. Yeah, so Broya, of course, he's a bit more taller than Jackson, so there's a chance that he'll be ready. He could start instead. Other than that, Enzo Fernandez is still out. And of course, the likes of the long-term Chilwell, um, Cucurella, James are all still out as well. Um, so the only question is how do they line up in front? So with Palmer, Sterling, I think definitely Sterling will come back in. Palmer, of course, we all know will come back in. So who's that third person? Whether it's Madueke or Mudrik, we're not sure yet. So we'll have to see. Yeah, but of course Sanchez is still out.
All right, Min, I think you cover all. I think Nkunku is the one that people are eyeing whether he can start, but if not, for sure he will make an impact off the bench for ni. But the most important news is for Palmer owner, he will return from suspension, and we believe he will start against Luton this game week 20. As Min mentioned, in terms of recovery period, Chelsea has the shortest one for game week 20. It's around 60 hours, something like that, before the second match against Luton, Chelsea. All right, let's go to the next match, man. Aston Villa versus Burnley. I think Aston Villa, there's a lot of interest, especially about Paul Torres. You're one of them. And Umari did mention about some injury in their backline. What's the latest news, man?
So we now know that how long Digne will be out there, so that's almost a month. To be fair, there's only 2 game weeks in January anyway. But yeah, so with Moreno set to play, there's definitely some potential points to be had with Moreno. The problem is that, and this is news for me, is that Torres isn't ready yet. So that's gonna hurt people who have him, like myself. So yeah, who I would have wanted against this Burnley match. Yeah, but other than that, everyone else is fine. Watkins, who blanked, you definitely will want to keep him and possibly consider him as a captaincy option this week. And aside from so other than that, on the Burnley side, nothing significant. The biggest thing, of course, is since Foster we already clear that he wasn't going for AFCON, which makes him a great option. So the bias side of me would want Foster to score against Aston Villa, and it is possible. Burnley have been doing decently, so although they did blank last time out, but they can score. But Villa at home is always is much better. So expect Villa to win comfortably this one.
Yep, Matty Cash did return from suspension, but whether he will start in this game, we are not sure. So there'll be a lot of uncertainty, especially about if Bailey can still keep his place. Konza, Carlos, Langdon should start over Paul Torres if he's not fit. And Moreno will come in for Lucas Digne. All right, let's go next match, man. Crystal Palace versus Brentford. We're trying to get finding like gem from Palace or Brentford team, it's going to be a hard one. So what's the latest news?
So no big changes with Crystal Palace, although there's a possibility that Edward might come back. But having said that, chances are he'll probably end up on the sub as well. Crystal Palace did do well despite losing against Palace last time out, so I don't see Roy Hodgson tweaking it much. Having said that, as you mentioned earlier, Crystal Palace and Brentford are both teams that are really, really struggling at the moment. So if Roy Hodgson feels Edwards could make a difference from the start, then definitely he may play. Bearing in mind, of course, that their next match is quite a while away. So it is possible that you may risk playing Edward as well, regardless. I can't remember. The next time they play is 20th of January, so that's a long time away. So maybe he may risk playing Edward from the start. Uh, Brentford. So the biggest question for Brentford is that this is the last game where without um Mbuemo, and with Tony likely to return the week after. So it has clearly been shown that with the loss of Mbuemo has really hurt Brentford in terms of output. With Maupay and Wissa just nowhere the same quality, offering nowhere the same level of quality. So it is a problem. So Tony will only come back the week after. I expect obviously should slot back straight away, but this will be a tough one as well for Brentford. Uh, if you were to ask me how to call this one, it could go anywhere, but I expect Crystal Palace to win and being at home, and of course the quality of Dean Henderson in terms of keeping those shots out. So I give it to Crystal Palace.
All right. Not much love for Palace asset, but if you feel you want to get a punt, maybe the likes of Olise. I think now people are looking Olise more than Ize. Can I say that? Olise could be on penalty also.
Oh
Uh,
yes,
do you
yep,
believe me?
yep, definitely. Olise is looking great at the moment, and if he stays on penalties. Having said that, Olise does also take more free kicks than Eze in general, based on last season, but Eze is the more potentially explosive player. So it could
All
be a
right.
touch if you wanted to try to go. Having said that, the fixtures aren't kind because they do play Arsenal in the next game. So you might not want to go there anyway.
All right. Next match, Man City versus Sheffield United. We already touched about Haaland, but what else news from Man City and Sheffield United, Cam?
No changes. It's just that we know that Stones will be back as well. So the question is it worth going into Manchester City? It could be. They do play Newcastle the week after, or which is not really the week after, the game week after, because it's in 2 weeks from now, on the 14th of January. So Newcastle, who have been in quite bad form, but now they get the rest that they really need. Having said that, okay, hang on, I'll cover Sheffield United first. So Sheffield United got Hamer, who's really important for the Sheffield United side, and McAtee also out as well. So there is gaps in the Sheffield United lineup, and with with both because the Hamer and Ahmed are both regular starters for Sheffield, and McAtee is also a regular starter, but he can't play because he's a Manchester City. He's owned by Manchester City, so it does make it more attractive for us to pick up Manchester City players. Yeah, and definitely those of you who have Alvarez, well done. Yeah, and those of you who went for Silva, that's incredible. Uh, so you would expect City to win this comfortably, despite Sheffield United's recent improvements, primarily because of those absences. So who do you pick up? Definitely, I can see a lot of talk going for Foden. Alvarez, definitely if you don't have him, but Foden is definitely a good option as well.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, after seeing the Sheffield United team news, they will miss Hammer, and Anel is his captain, suspended for picking up fifth yellow card. So you can see the likes of, I think, Robinson Trusty coming in from Anel is not ideal.
Trusty.
Okay, and then McTee. are ineligible to face his parent club for sure. And I think this can be a big win for Man City if they are not careful, man.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess it's just that Chris Wilder will definitely, bearing in mind, knowing the situation, he will definitely um, set up his team very defensive. So that's something that you need to take into account.
all right, let's go to the next match, man. Wolves versus Everton. Both are in decent form for sure, man. So what's the latest news for both teams?
So we knew that Huang Hee-chan came off with an injury, but apparently he's fine. So that's good news for those who still have him, because he
Yep.
gets one more week before he goes off. I mean, South Korea will be very excited to have him, given that his upturn in form this season. He really exploded this season, and I guess credit to Gary O'Neill for finding a way to get the best out of him. Yeah, so Dawson's also fit. Whether or not he'll start, we don't know, but we're not likely to go there anyway. Jose Sa, who has returned from the lineup previous week, so he's good to go. So Wolves are in good shape. So Everton, so Doucouré, touch and go, but I think that they do want Doucouré back. He does make a difference to the side. Um, Other than that, with Gueye remaining out, Gomez should continue there. The big question of DCL and Tchaikovsky missing training, but apparently these are just knocks, so you would think that he expect both of them to be ready. Everton, as you remember, lost to Manchester City. Yeah, the last time out. But I think they will like Doucouré back, because they have not been the same without Doucouré. Despite the fact that it has been some tough matches, they played Spurs as well as City in the last two game weeks. Yeah, but this gives us, if assuming Everton does get Doucouré back, it will be another tough match. It will be an interesting match. Yeah, I'm not sure how to call this one. It could be a 1-1 draw, 2-2 draw.
Yep, I think this is the last match. Min mentioned about Huang Hee-chan play. Kudos to his owner. Around 10% have Hee-chan last week and get that 14 points. Big points to jump in terms of getting green arrow from the Wolf player for sure. But once Hee-chan uh, gone to the Asian Cup, I think Pedro Neto will come back to this team. He's looks likely to be back soon. So I think that's the story for Wolves. You can jump in
Yeah,
if you.
yes, yeah. So the thing is, Neto was on the bench last game week, but because Wolves were doing so well, that Gary O'Neill could afford to just let Neto leave him on the bench. So definitely you would expect Neto to return, and that's, yeah, and I agree. So that lineup will, I think maybe Sarabia will be off, because he wasn't the one uh who played back when Neto was around. So then there'll be a bit of reshuffle there.
Next game in Forest versus Manchester United. Interesting match win because Forest did win last game week. I mean, also bounced back from Aston Villa 2-0 down and won 3-2. So what's the latest news, man?
So with Forest now is looking, is there a bit of a manager bounce happening? So well done, Forest. So Chris Wood, who has, again, another hat trick, incredible hat trick. Although not many of us have him. But he'll like those owners will like his chances against Manchester United. So nothing new with Forest, except for the suspension of Sangane. Uh, on the Manchester United side, so Martial, Luke Shaw, Amrabat not going to recover, and we also know Amrabat's not likely going to be retained by Manchester United anyway. But we do know that Holland scored his first goal finally, um, and you would expect him to continue the lineup. So whether or not
Yep,
he'll be able to continue his form. Of course, you know that Manchester United won against Aston Villa
yep,
3-2, which was quite achievement when you think about it. Although Aston Villa did score 2 goals, so the defensive line is still suspect. Yeah,
yep.
so this one is a tough one to call. Hafiz, I'm not sure. What do you think?
Both are in decent form. Forest at home. Forest has the advantage for sure if they continue to get that win. I think Nuno has a better strategy in terms of how he wants to make this thing. Could be a
Yeah,
1-0 or 2-1 win against Forest. Forest win.
yeah. I do like that mid attacking midfield tree of Elanga, Gibbs White, and Hudson Odoi.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
definitely
So
has.
that's it, right? I mean, Elanga.
Yeah,
So he can be that fast-paced player that Nuno wants in terms of counter-attacking his team, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. Because if you look at the predicted lineup for Manchester United, you got Mainu, who's an excellent defensive midfielder. I do it for the record, but at the same time, you also have Ericsson. So Ericsson does not have pace. He's great. He's creatively he can in build up, but if you're going to counter attack, you're gonna lose a lot of pace there. So that is a big question, especially when you have the likes of Luke Shaw also not available,
I
and
think
of
so.
course Rashford, who's not gonna who you don't see him running back.
I just want to mention because there'll be interest in terms of Garnacho because he actually nicked the two goals, but he could easily got another goal, man, hat trick. It was ruled out offside from VAR. If not, then people are scrambling to get Garnacho in. So we'll see how he perform again. If he's continue to perform, he's priced at 4.95 million right now. So
Gee.
he'll definitely going to attract attention. Let's go to the next match, man. Fulham versus Arsenal. There's some deterioration in terms of Arsenal expectation now, but it's against Fulham. Arteta mentioned that they want to bounce back quickly. So, what the latest news for both teams?
So it's a London derby, definitely. So it'll be something to look at. But the big thing with Fulham is that Jimenez is back, and after his 3-match suspension, and Fulham have been terrible without him. And um, as someone who picked up UOB after Raul got suspended, it shows that Fulham are definitely there's a significant drop in quality without Jimenez. So with Jimenez back, it'll be interesting. Willian continues to be a doubt after he was unable to play for the last few matches. But the fact that he missed out in the last game out shows that there's still a big problem. So on the Arsenal match, obviously there's you know Arteta will need his team to bounce back. So will it mean any changes to the lineup? I'm not sure. It's anyone's guess, but you would think that Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli. So Trossard, I think he started last time out, so He probably go on the bench this time around. Zinchenko was horrible, by the way, but the problem is Tomiyasu was still out as well. So you think that Zinchenko will continue to start and be given another chance. But with Timber looking to return in January, this might be his last chance. And people like me who own him are gonna have to take a serious look as to whether he's going to continue.
Okay. Man, what do you think, man, this game? Because Fulham are not in great form. Arsenal wants to bounce back. Would you be patient for Arsenal, except if you have double up as defense, uh, especially, and you have like Saka or even other guy?
Yeah, so we saw we mean again, Arsenal lost the clean sheet, and those who still have double Arsenal defense, it's starting to wonder whether it's worth it, despite the underlying stats. Is it worth having the two defensive lineups and two defenders? And for me, it's not personally. It's crazily enough as it sounds, and you wouldn't see me saying this in the first 10 weeks of the season, but having Havertz back will actually help. So your Havertz has been quite good of late, and having him back, I think it will help stabilize that midfield quite a bit. Yeah, obviously, to be fair, Arsenal, you argue that Arsenal did have an off day last time out, but they just couldn't score. But I can see Arsenal winning this one, despite the return of Jimenez. It'll be I don't see but again, I don't see any clean sheets. Yeah, but Martinelli was quite bad as well. So yeah, but Havertz coming back should definitely help.
If you're one of the person who thinking about moving on Saka, think give him another game against Fulham because he's actually all over the place against West Ham. You could actually get a goal, but the return are not there yet, so you need to be patient, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's hard to sell against Fulham, so you probably still keep.
Next game, man, Spurs versus Bournemouth. We know Spurs are becoming depleted in terms of their side. They're missing a lot. And I think the latest news been about Romero, right? And then Kulusevski will miss this game. So what the latest news?
So for Romero, excuse me, with Romero out, you've also got Kulusevski out, and this is it would have been a problem previously because you would expect them to play against Bournemouth do well, but Bournemouth are in really good form at the moment. So it should be an interesting match. And Sun and those who had Sun and Poro who did return, not by much, but they did return, so you would probably still keep them. And but of course, because of the depletion in Rex, you would definitely those who have Solanke like yourself will definitely want to keep him. Can definitely see some returns there. Um, so yeah, should be a good match. But of course, one thing is that for caution for Spurs is that Lewis Cook could come back for this one, so definitely there'll be some improvement in the defense side.
I mean, Osterkoglu continue to play Emerson Royal in the heart of defense, partnering with Ben Denvis. Uh, uh, are we then we can see that they're conceding like 4 goals against Brighton. Wouldn't it be much better Eric Dyer coming in to give more stability? That's what I feel.
Mm. Yeah, definitely because because Emerson Royal isn't by definition a centre back, so definitely Dear. But then Dear, there's a reason Dear isn't a regular starter as well. So we'll have to see. And Holberg, who was quite bad as well, so they definitely can see some shake up in the lineup for Spurs.
The predicted scoreline for this game from BBC is Spurs win 3-1. What do you think, man?
That's quite optimistic, and I mean, obviously the fact that Spurs are at home, but I think it'll be like a 2-2.
Okay.
Definitely,
Alright.
likes of Solanke can score.
Next game, your club, Liverpool versus Newcastle. I can easily say this could be the biggest match of Gameweek 20. Even though Newcastle are struggling, but it's still a big match, man, where they could actually turn up. So what latest news for both teams?
So Liverpool versus Newcastle. So you know that Newcastle has been quite poor, and one of the reasons is that their players continue to play and they're quite exhausted. Although we have the likes of Burn returning, Burn who got burned last week. So with uh, it's a question as over the likes of having someone like Livermento who's younger and faster. Uh, and now the question. Okay, so Liverpool on the Liverpool side, I think the best news that we got where Liverpool is concerned is last week, which was the return of Diego Jota. We have missed him, and it's clear that he makes a great impact. So we don't know he'll start this week is anyone's guess, but we do know Jota off the bench definitely also changes matches as well. Yeah, so this is Salah's last game before the AFCON, and I think he's a great captaincy option. This one coming up at Anfield against Newcastle. Those with TAA should continue to keep TAA. Would you consider a third option? It's tough,
If you
actually,
have
to be
Darwin,
fair.
I guess you're gonna play him, right?
Pardon?
If people still having Darwin, I think you play him again Newcastle.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. So definitely you'll still keep him. Yeah, I think he has the good match. To be fair, Liverpool face Bournemouth the week after, so it's not the great if you want to consider picking up a player now. But I think fixture wise, they're still good. Still not that great because after Bournemouth, then they face Chelsea. Yeah, so theoretically, it's not a heavy, not an easy match. Yeah, but if you're going to go triple up, but definitely if you already have Darwin, keep playing him.
Any worries in terms of Newcastle team, man? Is everyone fit?
Yeah, Newcastle, we do know that Isaac is definitely out. Um, there's still no threat to Gordon starting place because Barnes is continued to be ready. Not ready. So the problem with them is just fatigue. It's still fatigue. They definitely look tired. So other than that, everyone else is there. But the good thing is that um, new there's a 6 days I think it is between the last time Newcastle played. So I think that will help be in Newcastle's favor. They definitely need that rest. Definitely and uh, but if would you want to continue if you still have Gordon? Would you play him? Well, if you don't have any problems elsewhere, then you might want to consider selling him because I can't see him getting much. Having said that, um, I mentioned that Isaac might not be ready, but he is actually fit, so he could actually play as well. Uh, but it's hard to look at picking out a Newcastle player for this game week. Yeah, so
I mean,
no, no
if you have like likes of Trippier, because there's a lot of owner of Trippier, would you play him this game week?
yeah. So if you don't have any choice, then definitely play him. For people like myself who have him, it would it was definitely I definitely wanted to bench him, but given that one thing that Trippier needs is that break. So he will have that break. 6 days, I think, is a miracle time for Newcastle because they haven't had that long a break for quite a while. So I would still play him if I didn't have any issues. I would still play him. Yeah.
All right. We shall see how we line up later. Liverpool versus Newcastle. What is your prediction, man? This game?
Um, I know I'm talking up Newcastle a bit, but I still see Liverpool winning comfortably here. Maybe 4-1 even.
Oh,
So so my recommendation about Trippier is the fact that if he re- if you play, the returns will be in the form of attacking returns rather than any defensive returns.
right. Let's go to the. Is it the last match? Yes, West Ham versus Brighton. You did mention, mean both are the winners from the last game week 19 against Arsenal and also Spurs.
Yeah.
So
So
what's
I
the latest
didn't
news for both teams?
I didn't mention I was a bit uh I didn't have enough information as to whether or not uh um Moyes will still have Kudus in, or whether he will
Mhm.
already leave, given that this is the last match
Okay,
before the start of the tournament, but they might call him up a bit early.
okay,
So that's the question there. So if you already have Kudus, fine, play him. But if you don't, then now's not the pick time to pick him up. Yeah,
yeah,
the only issue with West Ham is the fact that Paqueta, who has been really integral there in the defensive lineup, so he's not may not be ready. Um, we'll see. We don't have enough information as to whether or not he's on because Said Ban Rama should come in if he's not, but it's a bit of a step down in quality. So Brighton side, so there's injuries to both Igor and Buonanotte apparently, but the biggest news for Brighton is the fact that Dunk is suspended, and without Dunk, you can definitely see West Ham scoring a few past Brighton. So those with Bowen, keep him, can pay off for you.
yep. I think that's really because the traffic later we touch. Also interest in terms of Bowen replacing whether the Salah or Son if you're getting into wildcard. So let's jump into the transfer traffic for game week 20 min. There is no surprise there. The top two transfer in for this week is from Man City players. The first one is Julian Alvarez, 477,000 managers has brought him in. I actually snapshot this like 50 minutes before we go live. So I think it's still good stats to have a look. A recent one. Foden, the second one, the 313,000. I think Foden scored, is it 8 points last week turnaround because he actually scored. Let me have a look. Yeah, 8 points, equal also with Alvarez, but looks devastating when in terms of attacking. So he's one of the main men for Man City, and we continues not having Haaland. Foden could be a good choice for sure.
Mm.
TA at third place, continue to attract attention and traffic from last week. We have Bowen Damien, and we also have Solanke. Despite facing Spurs, but you did mention Spurs are leaky at the back. Solanke could actually get a goal against Spurs. So those are the transfer in. In terms of transfer out, we mentioned to hold Haaland, whether to hold Haaland yet. 500,000 managers continue to transfer him out with the current news from Pep. Mentioned he might not be ready even in January. Gordon, disappointing asset for sure. I think he blanks. He only written one in 5 games now. So it is justifiable why people are getting rid of Gordon.
Yep.
Third, Trippier, his price already down to 6.8, if I'm right. And Newcastle has not been great. So those two, Tsimikas injured, continue to get him out. I'm also seeing some people who cannot afford Trent getting Gomez so maybe that could be the right choice. And then Mitoma injured, and also if not, he's going to Asian Cup. So what you can make in terms of transfer in and out for Game Week 20,
Well, I definitely don't agree with picking out Gomez instead of TAA. I think that's a poor option because Gomez doesn't have an attacking threat, although he is relatively cheap. But if you want to go for a defensive lineup, I go for Van Dijk for his aerial ability. But anyway, looking at the top transfers, um, yeah, Alvarez and Foden, you're probably going one way or the other. I don't know if those who had Alvarez are picking up Foden as well. I'm not sure whether that's the case. It's probably one or the other, so you'd have to hope the one that you pick performs. TA continues to gain some new owners, and for people like us who already picked them up, it's great. Bowen definitely, judging from how they performed against Arsenal, and now they're at home against Brighton, who continue to leak and are still the only team without a clean sheet this season.
Oh, right. Okay.
The only team without a clean sheet, and of course Solanke, um, consistency, I guess, with 4 goals in the last 2 matches, so definitely he'll continue to play. The Haaland bit surprises me, but it tells you that there are still plenty who had kept Haaland thinking he would be back for Sheffield United. I think so. That means a lot of people are selling him, and they've decided not to wait anymore. Yeah, so that's I didn't expect that there to be that many. So apparently there are many people who still have Haaland. Gordon, looks like a lot of people like me are joining the mass exodus in terms of Newcastle assets. So Gordon's gone. But of course, if you note that Dubravka isn't there in the top transfers out simply because, well, he's a goalie, and it's hard for us to use a transfer on a goalkeeper. So just hope he doesn't concede much against Liverpool. Simikas obviously injured, and Mitoma injured as well. So yeah.
So are we feeling to get Alvarez this week, Is it necessary to get him in?
It's hard.
I think if you
Alvarez
have
will be
him,
the person.
I think if you
Yeah.
have Haaland, it's easier to downgrade to Alvarez.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if you do not have him, it's a question, right? Because if you have 2 free transfer, you can get him. People like me, we have 1 free transfer, it will be hard. But he could be the captain option, right, for this week, right?
Yep. Definitely. So, um, yeah, I think Alvarez is quite a decent option. Yeah, he will definitely start. So, captaincy option is there.
Right, man. Quickly on suspension, I just want to mention in terms of Game Week 20, actually the Game Week 90 is already the cut off in terms of accumulating 5 yellow cards. If you accumulate it within that period, you will be banned for 1 match. But I just want to mention this Game Week 20 will also be the last match in terms of 5 yellow cards accumulation for Bournemouth, Brentford, City, and Luton Town, because they actually missed 1 game. Bournemouth and also Luton because of the match abandonment, and also for City and Brentford because they actually miss because of Club World Cup match
Yep.
postponement. So we can see there is potential. Senesi, I think the one that people are looking at lah. If we still have him, if he pick up a yellow card this week against Spurs, he will be suspended in game week 21. Other than that, Asia and Godos might not be so much owner in terms of Brentford. Locker will be out. I don't think people have, but Kabore, I think he will miss out this game week anyway. So I think Senesi is the one that people are looking at.
Yeah. So Senesi, the thing with Senesi is he's been on 4 yellow cards for the last 3 game weeks after picking up it against Crystal Palace. So he's quite, but for those who picked him up anyway, he has returned in the last 4 game weeks. Yeah, so a clean sheet in the last time out, incredibly, and also he scored an assist the week after, and before that was 2 double figures in a row. So those who
Yeah.
have him, who took the risk despite him having 4 yellow cards, so well done.
Yeah.
Uh, Other than that, looking at the Ben Me out again doesn't bode well for Brentford, so you could definitely look at seeing some um, returns playing against Brentford.
All right, man. Let's go to captaincy option for game week 20. A quick one, a snapshot from football scout and also fantasy football hub in terms of voting. You can see that in football scout there is around 2.6k votes there, and Salah is the top pick for this week. For hub also the same, slightly lower, 214 votes, but Salah is still the one that people are looking at. Salah and Alvarez, the top two, man. What do you think, man? Salah is a clear winner or Alvarez is the big pun for this week?
So we're all banking on there's two Sheffield United, of course, is a potentially troubled team, but of course they have improved over Wilder. But we saw in the last game week against Luton, they conceded 3 goals at home. So you would think that they're still defensively suspect. So definitely Alvarez is an option. For the Salah side is based on the fact that Newcastle have been form has been really, really poor. Having said that, they have not had enough rest. So the question is, with the 6-day gap they have now until the next match, is that enough for them to recover some semblance of their form? So I'm not sure. Watkins definitely against Burnley. We do know that Burnley have done well, and we do know that Aston Villa will want to bounce back after the surprising loss last game week as well. But then the same can be said for Son, and Son, who's also going to the Asia Cup. You'll want to sign off well. So it's a big question there. I'm not sure about Palmer. I don't see him picking him up as a captain.
I think in terms of captaincy, Salah is the premium asset that people are definitely, I think, look at.
Yeah.
But Alvarez could be the one that people, if you have the chance, could be the right captaincy because he's also on penalty, on set pieces, and facing Sheffield United, who actually will miss 3 vital players in terms of Heimer, Enel, and also McAtee. So my gut feeling is Alvarez because Salah still facing a Newcastle team who can also turn up in terms of recovery. Azmin mentioned they have a long recovery period. They could be up for this game. So that is the one that that's my thing. We take up some captaincy question, Min. David Abraham did mention Salah or Foden for captain if you're going for midfield. I'm not sure about you going for Foden. I'm more comfortable going for Alvarez.
Yeah. So the thing with Manchester City's midfield is still a minefield. Yeah. So obviously Alvarez will definitely get the start. I think there's no issues there. So between Salah and Foden, I would go for a comfortable option, which is for Salah really.
Brandon did also mention he actually did Archer to Alvarez, but most likely won't captain him. I suppose he will captain Salah.
Yep.
And when talk about captaincy, it's just between Salah or any Man City asset. I think those are the thing. You did mention about Watkins, a dark horse pick, or also Son. But Yeah, Salah could be the one that people are looking at, right?
Yeah, the problem with Watkins over the other three main options is that he doesn't take penalties, so that's always
Yeah.
that always bears into people's thinking.
All right, man. Let's go to our team. I go to my team first. Yep.
Yep.
I got 3.9 million in the bank, only one free transfer. And with the Haaland news, he's not coming back anytime soon. So I should not be scrambling to get Haaland back in and just leave my team for another week to save my transfer and getting more news. If Haaland back in Gameweek 21, then I will get him by that time. For now, I think I will maintain my team the same that I have from last week. I'll play Areola over Dubravka because Dubravka playing Liverpool this week, and Areola at home anyway. Pedro Porro, Gabriel, and TA, the most expensive defense that I can get right now. Porro, Gabriel, and TA. I do not have Saliba, so that will be
Yep.
uh, easier decision. If I have Saliba, it will be more headache. Benching dilemma over Brentford and Taylor for sure. They're both playing away and to a decent side, Wolves and Aston Villa. In midfield, I have Gordon, Saka, San, Palmer, and Salah. And they're up front, Solanke and Watkins. For now, I will have captaincy on San, but I'm still not sure whether it will stick with San or go to Salah. I'll just leave it on Sun for now. I might not go for Watkins because already he disappoint me when is it facing Sheffield United, Villa blanks, and I might not go for Saka anyway away from Wolverhampton. I think I'm gonna leave 1 week with Gordon. Still, I'm having Gordon. I'm going to play him. I'm not gonna play Archer against City, right? So what do you think, mate?
Well, nice to see you got Areola back into the starting lineup. I think you were probably frustrated, watching him keep double figures last week against West Ham. But other than that, in terms of your benching, yeah, no real questions with who you're benching. I think you pretty much got it right. Yeah, playing Gordon as opposed to Archer. Yeah, so you're gonna keep one transfer, right? You're gonna planning to
Yeah,
roll.
I think so. I think so. That's the
Yeah,
reasonable thing to do.
I think so. Yeah, I think your team is in decent enough shape that you can continue to hold. I'm just thinking with the Brentford against Wolves. Nah. I don't think Everton will keep a clean sheet. So, yeah, that should be fine. Good stuff.
Uh, yeah, I think my urge, if let's say want to get Alvarez, Archer to Alvarez, that could be an option. Play Alvarez instead of Gordon. But I feel I just save one transfer and see how it goes next week. If Haaland back, then I have to deal with Haaland for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
Min, let's go to your team, which is more interesting because it is not a template for sure. You
Oh,
have nothing in the bank, Min.
yeah. I have exactly zero in the bank. So that's how I'm shaping up at the moment because Paul looks like he's according to Unai Emery's presser, he even though he was on the bench last week, he doesn't think he's fully fit to start, so that's why he's still on the bench. The EOB experiment looks like has come to a disappointing conclusion because he has not done well. Uh, but to be fair, that was in Jimenez's absence. Basically, the last 3 game weeks he hasn't returned. The week before that he did return, so I'm putting him on the bench at the moment. I haven't looked at any transfers. Dubravka, I'm
People,
just gonna run with
yeah.
it and hope he doesn't get zero. Hope he doesn't get negative. So the only question is, and I know I mentioned earlier that I will probably still play Trippier, but I do wonder whether whether I it's time for me to get rid of him, uh, despite the 6 day extra. So if I were to transfer someone out, it would probably be between Trippier and Iwobi. So Iwobi has a nice possible option in Garnacho just now that we were talking about it. Garnacho in form. So I don't know if that's something I want to do. Then I'll bench Trippier and wait for him to have decent matches. So I'm not sure about that. Okay, since we're talking about that, we do need to take into account the fact that uh in game week 20 between game week 20 and game week 21, the third round of the FA Cup plays happens. So obviously, game week 21 is quite a long game week, but you do need to bear that in mind. Yeah, and then take a look.
No,
I
if
haven't
I'm
got.
right. No, if I'm right.
Yep.
Chelsea and Liverpool will play first semi-final Carabao Cup somewhere there also in maybe if I'm right. Right.
No, that's the week after, I think.
Week after. Okay, week after. All right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a bit of a uh it's a bit of a you really need to take a look at the fixtures because uh what do you call it? They because that game week 21 is a quite a long game week. So okay, so so I take a look now. So the semi final, if you have a cup, Liverpool play against Fulham, and it's on the 11th of January. So that's something you would have issues with. You expect them to play. Uh, okay, so
Yeah.
between game week 20,
Chelsea playing on the 9th January, mean
yeah,
against
9
Borough.
January. So yeah, 9 January, followed by the 13th January, where they play Chelsea will play against Fulham. Oh, both of EFL Cup semi-finalists will play each other on the 13th of January, a few days after that. So that's definitely something we need to consider moving forward for your long-term planning.
Yep. All right. Good stuff, man. So take a look at FPL Jedi League. A quick one, man. We have a new owner in terms of first spot, Kamar Ransid, Kamar Zainal. He actually Aston Villa
Fan.
fan. He scored 65 points. You can see there. He actually played Arela against Manchester United. Sorry.
Aha,
Uh, yeah. So he got
Arsenal
10
against
points.
us.
Yeah. Sorry, Arsenal. Yeah. So other than that, interesting. He has Senesi. He has TAA. And then he has Hichan. I think that's the hero for his game week for sure. He has Archer coming in for Palmer, I suppose. And Palmer will be back and Archer will be back on the bench. So interesting, he has a decent team. Douglas Lewis and
Yep.
Watkins and Aston Villa playing Burnley this week.
I think with that 65 points thanks to Hichan and Areola driven, he has quite a big gap. It's 48 points over his second place over the second place team. So good job. Well done, Kama. He's my schoolmate. And
Good.
it'll be interesting to see what he does because Hichan is fit, so he should continue play. So it'll be interesting what he does with because he has Salah, Hichan, and Sun. So it'll be
Yep.
interesting to see how he manages it after in the next game week and what he does there. So we'll see.
Okay, interesting game. Kudos to Kamazana at first spot. I just want to mention, shout out, man. I did make it in this top 10, man. I'm number 10 right now, 1111, keeping strong, and at least to catch up, Kamarin's Rancy will be a tough one, but there's still a long way to go, right?
Well, still plenty of way to go. It's only halfway through the season.
Yep. Shout out other than that, Abang H and Abang C still at second, third place. 1, 2, 3 go. Maintain fourth place. Justin 96. Nick Jokes at fifth place. K1K, we have 7 place Nico and Mimi. I think the first time he make it in this top 10. Afan United, Ashraf. Okay, is also there, one of the inside our community, and the beast Mama Sita at 9th place.
So
All right, man. Yeah.
just pointing out that Justice 61 is another person who has Hichan. So well done. That's why he's got on
Okay.
61 points. So well done.
Right. All the Hichan owner, kudos to you guys having him and improving your team. So I think we take some question. Yeah, Brandon Ong did mention he will go Salah at the moment. All right, guess. And he actually suggested me, Hafiz, maybe you can consider Gordon to further manage my fund for this week. Because if let's say Haaland back in game week 2020, say I have also to deal with Son and Salah going off for their competition. So maybe I could need to take a -4 at that point. I think another transfer also important, and at the same time, and further information in game week 20 will help me. I mean, they mentioned there'll be a long game week until game week 21 will play. We will discuss that in our midweek. So for now, I will try my urge not to get any Man City except if we know Man City going to play somewhere double game week 24, 25. That could be the road that we're going.
I'll give you a reason to go, Hafiz, is that after they play Sheffield, but after that they play Newcastle, and we know Newcastle are quite bad at the moment. They play Burnley
Yeah.
and they play Brentford. So, there's a reason for us to go in early if you want to, but you have to be confident of who's going to start.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon also put you a question in as a Trippier owner. Would you want to go to Estepanan? Right. So it's your differential pattern.
Bloody hell, Brandon.
Estepanan is
uh,
only
this
by 15.5% owners and his price is 4.9. Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, the there has been interest picking up, and he scored a crazy goal, against Spurs the other day. So definitely, now that he's back, and you would think that he will take center stage in the absence of Mitoma. So definitely, thank you so much for that, Brandon. I will. Is it so much of a differential though? I'm not sure. It does seem because
15% still
especially
okay.
yeah, but especially because he did score that goal, and I
Hmm.
think definitely uh interest in him will definitely be picked up. So thank you so much, and I will definitely take that into consideration.
Just take
Okay,
a look.
but sorry, I just took a look at the top transfers in. He's number 6 on the
Okay.
top transfers in at the moment. So yeah, so definitely I will want to look at that seriously. Thanks, Brandon.
Looking at the Brighton fixture difficulty ratings, man, for the next 10, they are actually facing only 2 and 3 difficulty rating. West Ham, Wolves, Luton Town, Crystal Palace, Spurs, Sheffield United, Everton, Fulham, and Forest. They have really decent match, but Brighton players. I think Estepanan could be the one if you want to go, right?
Yep, definitely. I guess the only question is, oh wait, let me just check. Brighton. Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much he should pretty much start every game when he's fit. So yeah.
Yeah. Game week 20, then FA Cup, third, then FAL semi-final midweek, then game week 21 split. Yes, the game week 21 will split into 2 game week because they like a winter break thing. They have
Yeah.
some players will play the first game week and the second game week. But the second one will be a tougher one because we will not have any news. That's the tricky one. We will discuss that in our next stream.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, Brandon nak pancing kau, bro. Alright. Nak dapat. But it could be the right option anyway. Alright.
It could be. It
Okay.
could be.
Last but not least, man, before we wrap up, do remind the game week 20 deadline will be at 7 p.m. Malaysian time this week for sure. And this will be the last game week for year 2023, and then we will go into the year 2024. Whoever around here, do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel to support us, man. So what's your last word, man?
So the last words is that as we had this stream, I can tell you that there's a lot of price changes here. I can we just do a quick run.
All
Solanke,
right.
Gasto, Bernardo, Foden, Garnacho, Pedro
Wow.
Porro, Pedro Porro, and surprisingly Kudus all went up this about
By
an
point one,
hour
I
ago.
suppose, right?
Yeah, and but on the bottom, quite a lot of price falls, but the key price fall is Wilson, who dropped, as
Okay.
well as Archer actually dropped as well.
Whoa.
So yeah,
4.5.
so back to 4.5. Yeah,
So you know what that means? Means that people are ditching Archer for Alvarez. That's what people are doing.
I think so. Yes, that's right. Because you already have the funds, and especially those who still have Haaland, is an easy sell. Yep. I think that's what's going on.
Tempting. I have a thought on that in terms of that transfer traffic now. But I think that's all for us. Thank you all for joining our API Jedi YouTube show for Game Week 20 deadline stream. We will back somewhere maybe next week or the other week because the Game Week 20 will be in 2 weeks time, so called. Enjoy the FA Cup, enjoy the Carabao Cup semi-final, and we shall see you again. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.